what the world needs now is love. More love.
Stars literally aligned.
He's always been the one.
There's someone out there for everyone.
I'm Nancy Regan, your host on the Canadian Love Map. We are on a journey to uncover and share love stories of all kinds.
He's never forgotten to bring me flowers.
We're hoping we're going to give a little good news to this world.
Even in these dark times, the life continues to go on.
It's all about compassion, devotion, adventure, and of course, love.
Everybody needs somebody. Everybody needs love.
This is the Canadian Love Map.
Well, love is the most important thing.
It really just felt so natural. Everything felt like the way it was supposed to. Nothing felt awkward or clunky or I didn't expect this or I didn't expect that. It all felt like just another day and that we were always together. It felt like we knew each other since we were kids.
I mean, when she turned around and I saw her face, I went completely blank. I lost all sense of anything that had practiced in my head or anything like that. It was just like, will you marry me?
Today's love story belongs to Abbi from Halifax, Nova Scotia, and her fiancé, Phillip, from Tennessee. These two met 3 years ago as teenagers online. It wasn't a dating app that connected them, though. It was a video game. Since then, they've been playing the dating game long distance. And just last week, he popped the question and she said yes. Next up, wedding planning, a big move, and then the rest of their lives. This is the Canadian Love Map. Abbi and Phillip, welcome to the Canadian Love Map podcast.
Thank you.
Tell me how love showed up as a game in your lives.
Well, we met playing video games during COVID and accidentally ran into each other and we started talking to each other and now we're engaged. So,
yeah.
Okay. So why don't you each set the scene for me in terms of what your life was like at the time and how the lockdown had affected you?
I mean, it was just a wild time for me. I was still in high school and we were on like a hybrid schedule. And so when I was home, I had a lot of time to do nothing. So I was playing video games. It was kind of my escape from the world. I am actually from Tennessee. I'm in a little town about an hour from Nashville. Grew up around a lot of animals and land and stuff like that.
Could you ever be referred to as a cowboy?
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay, good. Just trying to get a clear vision. Now, Abbi, what about you? Set the scene for me in terms of where you were in 2020 and what was going on in your life.
yeah. So I was in my grade 12 year and I was also obviously locked down except for us at my school. Basically, what they had said to us was, whatever your grade was before we locked down, that's what it is. We're not doing anything else. So I was kind of checked out of school already. I had just been finished my last job. I was working in a store that was liquidating. So my job kind of ended. I had nothing to do. I went back to kind of playing video games. I had always played Wii when I was younger, Xbox, stuff like that, but I was never super into it. I had nothing else to do, and I'm an only child compared to him and his 5 siblings, so there wasn't really anyone home to entertain me because both my parents were essential workers, so they were both working. So I just sort of got back into the video game scene, started playing, started making friends, and that's sort of how we ran into each other.
And did it feel like a source of connection at a time when you were really disconnected?
Absolutely, because even the friends that I have here, like we couldn't leave the house and we were trying really hard to follow the rules. So as nice as it was to be able to like text or Snapchat someone, like this was one of the only things that had me actually talking to people, like having real verbal conversations most of the time.
Yeah.
So I have to say that I do not know a lot about the gaming world, and I'm assuming that some people listening are going to be in the same boat as me. So I wonder if you can describe to me what kind of gaming you're doing and what it entails and how much interaction there is with other people.
Absolutely, yeah. So both of us play a wide variety of games, but we actually met playing Minecraft, which is generally like considered to be more of a kids game, but especially during the lockdown, we both played a lot of it just because it's so almost like mind numbing. Just like there's not a lot of thought that has to go into it. It's just like this other world that you can kind of live in. And we were both playing on a server. I played for sort of an esports team. We were super, super competitive, and that's sort of how I ended up talking to kind of everybody in that world.
When you say talking to them, do you mean actually talking with your voice or texting?
Well, both. Those servers do have like a chat function running all the time at the bottom of the screen, but also we do operate mostly through Discord. So we do talk to people. We join channels with people all the time. People would just hang out in voice channels just to talk to people, just to exist with others.
Cool. I didn't know that. And so you really do get a sense of who people are and you get to know them a little bit. Phillip, tell me from your angle what it was like.
Yeah, I mean, me and my buddies, we played mostly for fun. You know, whenever we had time, we all were kind of still doing things. Most people I played with were still in school or working or something. But we kind of, whenever we met her, she was competitive, and we kind of kept her around to stay competitive. You know, it was kind of just an added benefit. You know, she was obviously I liked her, so I mean, it was a lot of fun having her around, and that was kind of just a added bonus, kind of a good reason an excuse to keep her around. You know.
Yeah. So you liked her, but the added bonus was that she was
it was
really
good that she was
at
good
it.
at the game too. Yeah.
She was your ringer. I think that's what it's called. That's great. So how did you start to develop a bond?
I think started feeling stuff for her pretty quickly. You know, she always made me happy, either made me laugh or was someone who just liked to listen to things that I had to say a lot of times. And that was just nice because, you know, even in a big family, not always everybody wants to sit around and just have a conversation with you about whatever, you know.
Mm-hmm. Could you see each other or were you just hearing each other's voices?
Yeah, a lot of times it was just voices. I mean, after about a year or so of knowing each other, we added each other on Snapchat and like sent pictures every now and then, like talked back and forth on Snapchat. But for the most part, it was just when we were talking.
So that's so cool. So Abbi, how was that? What did you feel about this guy who you were conversing with, but you didn't know what he looked like for a year?
In the hindsight, I'm kind of glad because it meant I got to know him really well. It wasn't about what he looked like. You know, it's not like I saw him and I was like, oh my goodness, fawning, because I didn't see him. So all I knew of him was what he told me, and I got to know who he was.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really grateful for that because as much as it would be nice to say we started our relationship right away and we fell in love at first sight, I'm really grateful that we had all of that time to like really get to know each other and to know like who one another were before ever even considering being in a relationship.
And interestingly, you were also like collaborating. So you weren't only getting to know each other by speaking, but you were also getting a sense of how he collaborated and worked on a team.
Yeah, I did love to watch him work with people. I mean, I played individual sport growing up, so I never really thought much about it until I started playing esports, about having to like work with a team and stuff. And when I started doing that, it's become a really big thing for me. Eventually, the sort of thing that made me realize I like really liked him was listening to him actually talking to his sister. We were on the phone one day, just chatting about really nothing, and he went to pick up his little sister, and I was listening to him talk to her and give her life advice. I don't even remember what it was about now, but
I know what you're talking about, and it was my little sister had some problem. It was something about school, one of her friends. I don't even know what the real problem was, but it was me trying to be a good big brother about something.
So it was probably like a mean girl situation, and you were just
It
giving
was
her
something
advice.
like that, if I remember correctly, yeah.
And Abby, what was it about the way he dealt with his sister that you responded to?
it was all going well to know him and to be friends with him and everything. But in that moment, I think I really got to see like this different side of him that I didn't get to see because we were just friends. We were playing video games. There's not a lot of room for empathy and care in video games, right? So, I mean, I think in that moment, I got to see this side of him that really mattered to me.
Mm-hmm.
And how important some of those family values and stuff are to me. I got to actually see them like live in action, like I was a fly on the wall. It was like a spark in that moment. And once we got off the phone, I like just sat there and stared at my screen, and I was like, oh my goodness, I think I'm falling in love with this boy.
Oh, that's great. Oh my gosh. So how did that change things? What happened next?
It was right before Christmas, I think, right around that time. After Christmas, it was like January or something, that we really started to like have more conversations, like staying up late at night and talking about more than just, whatever we were playing at the time. And I think we really just got closer right after that. And I kind of thought that was kind of it was a spark moment, because I could tell a shift in her behavior.
Yeah.
After that, it was like I asked her if she wanted to be my girlfriend. Obviously, she said yes this time. It's funny, we had planned that summer when I graduated, I'd planned to go and meet some of the other guys that I played, that we met all at the same time, that we had planned to go on a trip in the summer that she was going to be a part of. And it was good. It was kind of good timing. We kind of started dating, and then like we were able to go and see each other that summer and actually meet in person for the first time just a few months later.
There must have been such anticipation meeting in person, because you just never know if it's going to translate from a long distance connection to an actual face-to-face one.
I've never been so nervous in my life. I to this day don't even, I guess I know why, because I was excited, but I was just like pacing back and forth, waiting in like baggage claim, vibrating, because I'm like, oh my goodness, this person who I love I'm finally going to be face to face. And I vividly remember he's told me how he's 6'3" and some change. And he said it a million times. I didn't believe a word of it. I just couldn't picture it. And then I remember seeing him, and I was like, oh my gosh, hello. Like, so much taller. Yeah, so much taller than me. And I'm just like, oh my God, you're a real human. You're a real person standing in front of me. This is crazy.
Wow. What do you remember about that moment, Phillip?
I can remember when I stepped off the plane and I was walking to baggage claim. Obviously, I was texting her. I was like, we're here and we're on the ground. And she's like, well, I'm here. And I was looking around and I couldn't see her. And I was sitting there, and I walked over and I found the carousel my bags were on. And I was standing there waiting for my bag, and I was like looking for her. I was trying to find her. It was like, I'm here. I knew she was there, and I couldn't find her. And I'd psyched myself up, and I was losing all of it, because I was like, I don't know, like I'm just standing here. And I got my bags, and we were walking towards the door, because they had like dividers set up from COVID still. Right. And that like people couldn't come across it. And like as soon as I passed it, I saw her, and I just ran straight to her. And I think right then I lost all of my like nervousness. Like it was just like everything was okay right then.
You got your mojo back?
Yeah.
And was there an instant sense of comfort between the two of you?
I think so, yeah.
Absolutely.
Really? Wow. Phillip, had you ever been to Nova Scotia, or did you know anything about it?
No. No.
So this was an adventure in more ways than one.
Yeah, for sure.
Amazing. So tell me a little bit about that trip and how things progressed.
Yeah, I mean, it was 6 of us, just, a bunch of people who had never met each other. I mean, him and the guy he came with, they knew each other. And then 4 of our other friends, they all knew each other. I was the lone wolf in this scenario, I guess. But the 6 of us, we had rented an Airbnb out in Sambro, right near the water. And it was the tiniest house I've ever been in. And we were there for about a week and a half, and it really just felt so natural. It felt like we'd known each other our whole lives. Like everything felt like the way it was supposed to. Nothing felt awkward or clunky or I didn't expect this or I didn't expect that. It all felt like just another day, and that we were always together. It felt like we knew each other since we were kids.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty seamless.
Wow. Was it hard leaving after that experience and that visit, Phillip?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was really hard. I can remember I had to be home for some reason. Like, I think that it was my dad's
Y'all
vacation.
started
Like,
school.
we had oh no, it was school. You're right. It was, because it was right at the end of summer that we came. I had to be home. Yeah, because the next week I moved into my dorm for college. Like, I had no choice. Like, I had to leave. There was no like, oh, I can wait for another flight, or I can wait and take more time. But I had to leave, and getting on that plane was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Wow. And were you absolutely committed to continuing, or was there part of you that thought, well, I'm starting college. How much sense does it make to be in a long distance relationship?
I was pretty committed at that point.
He sounds serious, Abby. And what about you?
I didn't have any doubt. I mean, like, the only thing him going home felt to me was just a reminder that we needed to be back together. Him leaving didn't give me any sense of like, oh, I'm not sure. All it felt was, I need to book another plane ticket. When's the next time we can be together again?
Wow. So having met and been together in person, how did the next leg of your long distance relationship go?
A lot of countdowns. I think I have a little countdown app in my phone, and I've every time we travel to one another, there's a countdown set. So, I mean, after he got home, immediately it was, when can we be together next? Set the countdown, book the tickets.
We couldn't share the great stories that we do here on the Canadian Love Map podcast without the amazing support of Charm Diamond Centers. They are Canada's largest family-owned jeweler, and they're proud to be putting love on the map. The folks at Charm Diamond Centers are thrilled to be a part of your love story. So visit charmdiamondcenters.com or one of your local stores. Love starts here. And so at what point did you meet each other's families?
I met his family the Christmas of that year. So, I mean, he was here in the summer, that Christmas. So a couple months later, I went to visit him, and we stayed at his dad's house because he was living in the dorms at the time, couldn't stay there, and also it was Christmas. So I met his family then, and then he met my family.
How did that go?
It went really well. I'm sure he can speak more to it, but he talks a lot about me.
Yeah, they were excited. They thought it was funny. My dad especially. He said that he figured that something was going to happen between us. That he could tell, like, the way I talked about her. Because I told him, obviously whenever I left, I had to, kind of give some insight into like where I was going, what I was doing. And I didn't say anything about us being together at the time, but I think he could tell then, that there was something between us. And he was like, when I told him, I was like, hey, by the way, you know, we're actually dating now, and it's like, can she be here for Christmas? And he was super excited. And my siblings, they like to make fun of me about it. They thought it was funny. But then when she got here, it was kind of just, again, it was just seamless. Like she'd always been here. I mean, she fit right in. Everybody loved her. You know, it was just easy.
Wow. I got to give your dad kudos on 2 points. A, his radar, right?
Well,
That parental radar is like, we know what's going on here, even if you don't know what's going on here. And B, that he reacted in such a positive way, because I was thinking, I have 2 sons who are in their 20s, and I was thinking, I wonder what my reaction would be if one of them said, so I met this girl in another country who, you know, we met through gaming, and we are now dating, and she's coming to stay with us for Christmas. I might be like, say what? So kudos to your family, and especially your dad, for saying, bring it on. This is great. And Abbi, kudos to you for being able to go into that situation. Like, that takes some amount of courage. How did it feel arriving for Christmas with this family you'd never met?
Well, I mean, I spent a lot of time mentally preparing myself. Like I said, I'm an only child. I have a very small family. Christmas for me, the whole holiday season is like, you know, 3 of us, me and my parents, and that's it. So,
yeah.
I mean, not only was I just meeting a bunch of new people and I'm socially anxious and scared, but I'm meeting like a huge family that I've never experienced before. I mean, I don't even have many friends that have big families. I didn't know what I was like walking myself into, but I was telling myself that if everything would be fine, everybody's going to love you, it'll be great. And I mean, it was, thankfully. I never pictured myself as wanting to have a big family or wanting to be around a big family. I've always only had me and my parents for the most part. So quiet, low key all the time for me. But I mean, we did, everyone was there for New Year's. All of his family, all of his family's friends, everybody was kind of around. And it was kind of nerve-wracking because I was the star of the show for a little while, because everybody was like, this is this girl that everybody's telling us about that nobody's ever met. So everyone is meeting me for the first time, and every time I turn around, I'm saying, hi, my name is, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that they treat me so well. They immediately treated me like I was family, and I felt so at home the whole time.
Oh, that's really cool. And now I'm dying to know how it went to the next step. How did you know that, you were going to shift gears into this whole new level of planning for your lives together?
We both knew what we wanted forever. We both knew we wanted to end up together. Well, not forever, but for quite a while now. And I had set out 2 rules for him whenever he wanted to propose to me. I had said, 1, I wanted it to be with my grandmother's wedding ring. She passed a couple of years ago, and it was given to me. It just felt super important to me. And the only other thing was, I want you to get it on video or in pictures. I want this engagement to be captured. And I didn't care how that was done. I didn't care if it was an iPhone propped up in a corner, whatever it was. It was the only stipulation.
Yeah.
And maybe I don't even know if he'll remember this, because I was so mad. Like 6 months ago, there and around, he said, oh, I don't really, I was just thinking about it, and I don't really know how I'm going to get your proposal on camera. That's it. I don't know what you want me to do. And I was like, oh, whatever. I don't care. Don't. It doesn't matter. I was mad.
Yeah. But you wanted him to take the initiative, right?
Exactly. So I was like, oh, I don't even care. Whatever. And then shortly before, I just actually came back from Tennessee, but shortly before I went, we were talking, and he's like, oh, my sister, she's been taking pictures for, my siblings and their partners and whatever. And we don't have any good pictures together, and she really wants to take, some pictures of us. And I'm oblivious. So I was like, yeah, sure, sounds good to me. I guess I don't really like taking pictures, so I'll do whatever you want, whatever. And he came down here for before we went back for a music festival, and we were packing my bags, and I was like, well, what do you want me to wear? I don't really know what we're doing. And he told me like, oh, well, we're going on, family vacation with the rest of my family, so just whatever you want, a nice dress, whatever. And I'm still sitting there like, I don't care, whatever. And so I picked up this new dress that I had bought, this cute little sundress, and still oblivious to the world. And we flew back together. We were at his house for a little while, and then we went on vacation there. And in hindsight, I guess I should have known, but I was oblivious. He was so stressed, so tense, just wild. And I was just like, okay, I guess he's having a day. I don't know, whatever. So, the second day we were there that morning, he was like, okay, we're going to get up like 7 a.m. We'll take like sunrise pictures. The backyard of the place we were staying was a super nice view of the lake and the trees. It was so beautiful. And I was like, okay, yeah, this all makes sense to me. Like, that's fine. We went out, we took a couple of pictures in some random places. And then his sister said, okay, I want you to turn around and look out at the view. I want to take a picture, like a candid photo from behind you. I'm oblivious. And I was like, okay, sure. And then I didn't know where she wanted him, what she wanted him to do. So I'm just, twiddling my thumbs, looking away, waiting for directions. And she had said, oh, I have technical difficulties. Just give me a second. Just stay facing that way, though. And I was like, okay, sure. And I stayed facing that way, and I'm twiddling my thumbs, looking out at the view. And then she's like, oh, okay, great, I got it. You can turn around now. And I turned around, and he was down on one knee.
Oh my gosh. And was she taking pictures or video?
Pictures. So I have a great new wallpaper of the exact moment that I turned around, covering my face, trying not to cry. And we did a whole photo shoot afterwards, which I was much more interested in taking pictures at that point than I was prior to.
Now you had a reason. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's great. Phillip, let me hear your version as promised.
So I had been there for her graduation. She just recently graduated from college for the first time.
In Nova Scotia?
Yep, with her master's, or not master's, with her math degree.
Mm-hmm. I wish.
And so I was there for her graduation, and she had to, while I was there, she was teaching a judo class one night, and I told her I wasn't going to go with her. Like, I would just rather stay at the house. And so then I could talk to her father before, and she was very mad at me for staying behind. She was not happy that, but I couldn't not. I had to have a time that, where I could talk to him before, and so I did that, and it went pretty well. He seemed to like me, I guess. And then I flew home. I actually, a while before this, like a year before, I had told her to put her grandmother's ring on her bookshelf somewhere where she's not looking all the time behind something, so that if I did take it to propose to her, it would still be a surprise. And so that while I was there, I went ahead and I took the ring and I flew home with it, and I had it for a couple of months. And luckily, I didn't really know this at the time, but apparently the thing she put it behind, every time she moved something in the bookshelf, fell down all the time. And so lucky me, she never knocked it down while I had the ring.
Wow.
And so then I was trying to figure out, I was racking my brain, how do I do this? How do I get it on picture? How do I find a place? She didn't want to do it in front of a lot of people, so I couldn't do it anywhere public. And I asked my sister, because I knew she did pictures. She'd done my little brother's like prom pictures and stuff like that. So I knew like she could take good pictures. I'd seen them. I was like, okay, these are great. And I'm like, what do you have? Do you have any ideas? And at first we came up with like this public park near me. It's like a waterfall. And I was like, this is great. We can hike up there. It's not that hard to get up there. It's only like a mile. And I went there. It's funny. I went there and I didn't say anything to her about this, but I went there and tried to kind of scope it out. And it was like the middle of the day on like a Wednesday. And it was packed full of people. Like the parking lot was so full. I was having to search for a parking spot. And I was like, this is not going to work. There's too many people. I turned around. I went back home and I was like, I told my sister, I was like, we cannot do it here. This is not going to work. There's too many people. It's just not, it's going to be too much. So my dad had already planned on going to the lake with us. He had rented a cabin. And I looked at the pictures of the lake and I saw this view of the lake. It was so beautiful. It was on the hill, right, looking over the marina. So it was just, I was like, this is perfect. We can do it here. And afterwards, we can go down to the lake. We can take pictures at the dam. We can take pictures up here. It'll be great. So when we got there, I was like, the whole time I was trying to figure out, okay, the ring, I had it in my safe at the house. I had to figure out a way to get it in my bags while she was there. Obviously, I was packing all the bags we were packing them at the same time. And so I had to like send her out of the room for something. I was like, oh, I forgot this in somewhere. And I was like, okay, I have to get in because the safe makes noise when you open it. It dings with every button you push and everything. So I sent her down to get something out of the garage. I got the ring out of the safe. I put it in my bag and I was like, I hope there's nothing else in this pocket. I kind of hid it a little bit, behind some like mesh in my pocket. And it's like this, hopefully she doesn't open this pocket. Like it was right behind all of our chargers, which it's like, I have 2 pockets in the front of my backpack and the front one I always put all my chargers and stuff in. And she's like, oh, can I put my phone charger in here? And I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. Put it in here too. And I was like, just please remember, it's the one on the top. Don't open the back one. And so we got there and I was stressed out. All of my family was there because I told my dad, obviously, I was like, I'm going to do